Tapas learner. Of course, I don't like free periods.
I'm a Tapas student. Of course, we plan our own events.
I'm a Tapas learner, and of course, I love to come to school.
I'm a Tapas learner, and of course, I don't have exams.
I'm a Tapas learner. Of course, we go to exciting field trips.
Hello, everybody, and a warm welcome to our fourth day of Tapas Project SHAALA, a virtual conference on unpacking what project based learning is and, in the process, learning about education and what it looks like in the days to come. I'm extremely happy to have with me Lieutenant Colonel Shekar as the guest who's going to be speaking about what the future of education looks like today. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to him. Colonel, a warm welcome.
Thank you. It's an honor, pleasure, privilege to be with you and the wonderful Tapas thought process. More power and more energy and fortitude to you and your wonderful place of learning.
Thank you. Thank you so much. To our viewers who don't know Lieutenant Colonel Shekar, just a very quick introduction. He is a soldier educationist, a leader, a trainer, a mentor, a resource person. He is currently the regional director of Universal Education. He is the past principal of HPS in Kadapa. And if I were to read all about his achievements, I think we would take the whole hour. But he has held many roles both in the Indian Army as well as in the industry of education. So it is an honor to have him as a speaker at Tapas Project Shala.
Thank you. It is a touch exaggerated, my introduction, but we are all learners. We learn from each other. There you go.
Um, so I think it's good to begin at the beginning. It's a great place to start. The first word in your introduction is that you are a soldier educationist. So I'm curious what that means and why is it different from an educator, and what that means in your current role as an as the regional director. I mean, in the industry of education.
Great question. I did soldier education is to distinguish myself from the other so-called run-of-the-mill people. It was a lot easier to introduce myself. So soldier educationist means he's supposed to combine the qualities of being a soldier and being an educationist. But in the army also, I was an army educational corps officer. I've done my PG in chemistry as well as in English. I've been part of military schools, Sainik schools, Kendriya Vidyalayas, army schools, B.Ed colleges, postgraduate degrees, the works. So, firstly, I have been an educationist in the armed forces. The second part of it is that in the midst of guns firing, bullets going around, how do you train your soldiers to the next level? Years back when I joined the army, 87 was when my training started. Most of the Indian army was 8th class plus,
Hmm.
8th class pass. And people from Ladakh coach, my first unit, they were 5th class pass. So how do we bring them up to the next level? At that point of time, the ground realities were different, close to 40 years back. Now, you hardly have any Jawan joining in without a 10th, 12th, or even graduation. It's going further. So, that is from where the whole system started. So, the way was there is firing, there is field, there is peace. So, in the midst of all of this, how do we raise their levels? So
Hmm.
that is how I joined the army as a soldier and an educationist. You find out time in the midst of all the work of a Jawan to squeeze out some time and make him then, now her also coming in to the next level.
Okay.
So, to give you an example, the first period, the cadet in Indian Military Academy runs 5 kilometers. With
Hmm.
this second period is 40 minutes of hard drill when the legs are almost leaden. breakfast with 8 slices of bread, and then the guy comes to do 2 periods of swimming. The
Hmm.
fifth period, the guy comes to me. If he does not sleep, I mean, so
Yeah.
that's from where your core understanding how to keep a classroom engaged. We learned it the very hard way. So that's the background soldier education.
That's fantastic. And when you look at your experience of being a soldier educationist versus the education industry that you are in today, and the students who are coming into the classroom today, do you at all feel like there is a heightened sense of privilege that these students are coming in ever?
By far, by far, you have, as is expected of you, attacked the point head on. When India started its post independence journey, we had less than 10% of our women even literate.
Hmm.
Hardly 50% could read and write. From there, we have come to a level which is vastly different. Yet, the schools, and we have to be accepting of the fact that the schools we have run or running are not the run of the mill schools. They are at
Yeah.
many levels at the elite or at least beyond the middle class level. The sense of entitlement and privilege is beyond belief. We are not humble enough, and we are not thankful. We do not show enough gratitude for what we have, as much as we take Mahatma Gandhi and the independence for granted. And what did the half naked old man do other than
Hmm.
fasting is the mindset today? We don't realize that there is a sense of privilege. And in the schools and colleges we have run, 100% of them go to the next level. As far
Right.
as India is concerned, even now, only 28% of our students of 12th reach college.
Right.
63% of girls in Gujarat drop off after class 8.
Hmm.
We still have 4 to 5 crore students who are just out of all the roles.
Hmm.
So, and when we find the rest 70% who are not going to college or maybe
Hmm.
even beyond 10th standard, they are the ones who will say Zindabad to the parties,
Hmm.
walk along them and ask for 500 rupees and one chicken biryani every day for basic survival. So the
Absolutely.
sense of entitlement is great, and I worry about it. I seriously worry about it, and that's a challenge.
Absolutely. And I think I couldn't agree more that there is a disconnect between the Bharat and the India. This is, I think, a big discussion that happens. And I think this is reflected even in our education system. And we are privileged enough to be in the India part of it, but yet discussing about the Bharat. And so that's something that we should flag off to everybody who's watching. Um, so that brings me to the next question. If we do have all these resources and we are able to provide good education, the privileged lot, um, what are we really educating them for? What is it? What is the purpose of education that you see in a scenario where the future is so, so different? We can't predict the future.
Mummy, I have no clue. The challenge we are all facing is that I keep telling people for better understanding. When was the last time you went to an STD booth?
Hmm.
When was the last time you went to get a ticket in the railway station? When was the
Hmm.
last time you went for an air ticket?
Yeah.
When was the last time, or how comfortably I'm speaking to you from an airport? Things
Yeah.
have changed dramatically beyond belief. But,
Absolutely.
and as I've said before, Indian Army changes faster, the teaching system changes slower.
Hmm.
And there is a sense that whatever we have before, chalta hai.
Hmm.
Second part is our remarkable genuflection towards mediocrity. I use it in a harsh term.
I
We
understand.
genuflect in front of mediocrity, and we subjugate ourselves to such pressures that we bring ourselves down.
Hmm.
I will remind you of a great quote, Preeti. General Marshall, the armed forces chief during the Second World War for Franklin Roosevelt.
Mm-hmm.
In his efficiency report or annual confidential report or performance appraisal, it was
Mm-hmm.
written, Captain Marshall is one of the very best I have seen.
Okay.
Every day he's not promoted to the rank of a brigadier, captain, lieutenant, major, lieutenant colonel, colonel, brigadier. It is a loss to the American army, and I am 1800 files junior to him. It will be
Hmm.
an honor for me to serve under him. Colonel Hagood Johnston wrote.
Okay.
Forget Marshall. Forget Marshall, Preeti. How many of us have the courage to tell that so and so teacher is better than me? So from
Absolutely.
there I start, and because of that, Colonel Hagood became a general himself. So I keep
Hmm.
that with me always. And
Hmm.
I've had the fortunate choice of rating some teachers superior to me with all humility. So the
Wonderful.
first part of all of us, Preeti, is, are we willing to listen to anyone else for anything?
Hmm.
So we have a set pattern, and
Hmm.
we have had a great deal of foreign rule. You talk about the Mughals, you talk about the East India Company. So we like to follow somebody. And if you
Hmm.
go back to the Brahminical order, and even today, when somebody dies, that 13-day process, when you
Mm-hmm.
look at it, much of it is focused on the procedure. You sit like this, you do like this. What is the context? How are we doing it? How giving the best of Jersey cows will take you to heaven is never thought through. we
Right.
look at it we look at it in terms of procedure karna, otherwise the whole street will be up in arms, and we are so bothered about societal phase. So
Right.
presently, to my mind, the transformation from an illiterate India to a literate India is almost complete. We are not going to get perfection. The
Right.
next stage is really important. The new education policy says that. But
Hmm.
Dr. Kasturi Rangan will not come to Tapas and Universal to implement it.
True.
We have to do it on ground. How willing are we? How challenged we want to be ourselves? How much are we in our comfort zones? And this doesn't only mean teachers. The teachers, the parents, the students, the wider society. So the entrance coaching, the whole thing. So this is a huge system
Right.
wherein vested interests everywhere.
Hmm.
So that way, how do we get it going? And there is also this permanent thing here. Society wants it. We are, as
Hmm.
teachers and leaders, we are very uncomfortable. Somebody questions us.
Absolutely.
We don't want to be questioned. So in that whole scenario, the teacher does not want to be questioned. The coordinator does not want. The principal definitely not. Nor does the owner. So what generally happens? The owner will do the job of a principal. The
Hmm.
principal will become a coordinator. Coordinator will become a teacher. So
Hmm.
where we have to allow our children move, the children have to run the school. We go
Hmm.
one, two steps low in our unique ability to super micromanage.
Yes.
So when you micromanage, inevitably what happens? You succeed in a standardized mediocre process. How do we get out of it? Preeti, Jesus Christ, Allah, Krishna, and Guru Nanak, I have no idea.
Yes. So there's a lot to unpack in what you just said because there's so many things that you touched upon. I think I'd like to begin with the idea of us adjusting to mediocrity. I think we are trying to serve the average in the classroom as well as in the society, and we are not looking at serving the needs of the ones who have other kinds of learning needs, nor the ones who are at the extremities of society. So I think we're all in the race to serve the middle of the society. So I agree with the whole statement about serving the mediocrity, but it also makes me question that we are not, and like you said, asking the right questions, both of the people who are supposedly the adults in a school, plus also the students in a school. I think our education system is all about, this is what I'm saying, and so this is what you will believe. And so this whole not being able to question back and think critically, I think has made us into a nation of accepting what is being told to us and not being able to ask the right questions and ask it respectfully. Even if we ask it, we don't have the patience to listen to the answers respectfully. So what is your
Very,
take on it? How do we develop critical
very,
thinking?
very correct. And I will, further, you have gone into a term which is very interesting: listening, understanding.
Hmm.
I'll give you an example. Preeti Vikram is a teacher in my school. Preeti comes to me, the school director or owner or principal. Preeti says, I want 5 days of leave for some event. I
Mhm.
completely listen to you, understand, balance it out. Finally, I agree for 3 days of leave.
Okay.
What will Preeti go back and speak in the staff room? यार वो कर्नल सुनता नहीं है. So
Yeah.
the understanding of the term listening is defined in today's thought process of agreeing. Preeti.
Hmm.
Agreeing in its totality is what we mean by listening.
Hmm.
That's a huge thing which we have to. I mean, anything we say, I listen to you. The point, the term listening is misconstrued as agree. One
Hmm.
part. Same way, discipline is misconstrued as compliance.
Right.
Both come together.
Yes.
When I said I do not want to have any, even one bit of the thought of your questions, it's
Yes.
easy for me because one, I trust you. Two is, if I'm not spontaneous with my answers in the
Hmm.
context. In fact, the famous violinist N. Rajam, Dr. Rajam, she came for a Speak Make concert and she talked about the classroom and the fascinating conversation. She said, I'm going to play Deva Deva Kalayami, the song, the class. But how I'm going to improvise, I do
Hmm.
not know till the time
Hmm.
I start the song. It goes in a flow.
Hmm.
In those terms, the Deva Deva Kalayami, the content, what you have to learn, etc., is available with the teacher.
Right.
How the teacher interprets it in the classroom,
Hmm.
brings out the best among the students through listening, understanding, and getting involved in a conversation is the
Yes.
challenge. And in that, our compliance mode must go off. We
Hmm.
must have a questioning mode. And that's
Hmm.
where a huge difference comes between the army and the civilian space.
Right.
There, surprisingly, despite others believing it, we are widely allowed to question our superiors.
Okay.
There have been widely all
Okay.
things. But once say Preeti is my leader, I question something, I argue once, I argue twice. After that, as long as he has taken a legitimate decision, you follow. No
Hmm.
passive resistance. But
Okay.
on the other hand, in schools, especially, the biggest challenge is passive resistance.
Yes.
And in that, I want to do only this much.
Hmm.
And there I will bring in the next unpacking thing. Who is the teacher in our school today?
Yes.
She's first, I've said this before, she's a mother first,
Yes.
majority of them, daughter in law second, spouse third. In her spare time, she's a teacher. I get into
Unfortunately.
a lot of trouble saying that. I'm only saying the load on the lady is huge. Instead
Hmm.
of making it 80-20, make it 50-50.
Yes.
Family 50, school 50. From this 80-20, you come to 50, we'll
Hmm.
become the best knowledge nation in the world.
Absolutely, I agree. And I think that's a beautiful, beautiful way of talking about the people who are in the workforce at an educational institution. And for me, as a school, that's the biggest challenge, right? The vision is there. We've thought that this is how we want to transact education in this space. All of this is there. But when you don't have people seeing the same thing, seeing the same vision, and even if they do see it, they don't have the bandwidth to be able to unlearn and relearn. And I think we've come up in an age and a stage in our lives where I can't unlearn anymore. This is
Yes.
me. This is how I am. And so how do we get more and more teachers to look at how education can change? What can be that one what can catapult the learning of this teacher?
Parts to this, and I shared that video where you talked about vision mission. I mean, the
Yes.
teacher says vision mission to chodo yaar. Please confirm, sir, that my salary is coming on time.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
something which is the earlier generation. See, firstly, teaching started off in many ways is the spare time occupation of the woman. How do we change that? Second, teacher only comes to school for a specific period of time,
Hmm.
because everyone, when you go back, you say 8 to 2:30, and I always make fun. 8 2:20, 2:30, 2:27, the teacher stands in a commandalu position with something in hand. She has to go.
Very clear.
The
Hmm.
challenge fundamentally, Preeti, is firstly, for her, the right term you have used is physical, mental, psychological knowledge bandwidth.
Hmm.
She gets up at 5 in the morning, gives a cup of tea, prepares the children. The
Hmm.
IT going, work from home husband would want everything in his hand, including MCPs like us. So, what
Hmm.
happens is she walks into the school at 8, absolutely famished at all levels. So, what she wants is, let Shekar or Preeti give me orders, I will follow it. I do
Absolutely.
not want to apply my mind. So, for that, how do the families and the organization create space?
Absolutely.
Do we make them sit in the school more? Do we
Hmm.
allow more liberal family orders in school where children can stay of these people? Can we
Hmm.
give them more food? Can we organize all of it? Can we interact with the family members and bring it down? On
Yes.
one side, we want state of the art, NASA
Hmm.
plus in our schools. On the other hand, our family systems are where they are. In many
Absolutely.
ways, I believe we have gone the conservative side more. We have
Hmm.
gone back post COVID.
Hmm. Hmm.
Post
Yes.
COVID, there have been a set of people who have enjoyed the working woman being at home,
Yes.
because of which they have found that this is a good option. And you add the societal change where the woman is rightfully asserting herself.
Hmm.
We are in the midst of exceptional socio-economic cultural change where the
Yes.
patriarchy is pushing hard. The
Hmm.
patriarchy says we want the power. The
Hmm.
young middle-aged lady is saying no, this is not acceptable.
Hmm.
In the
Hmm.
midst of this, thoughtful educators like you, and being a woman, how can I make my teacher create more bandwidth? I
Hmm.
do not have an answer, Preeti, but I can only say that we have to attempt at a bouquet of activities.
Maybe I can share just our thought process about when it comes to what we do at Tapas. And I think I'm hoping that that can be one of the solutions. Um, I think just changing the whole mindset that the teacher is at the lowest rung of the hierarchy, whereas flipping it up to say that the teacher is at the highest rung of the hierarchy in a school, because finally she or he is the one delivering that vision, delivering that kind of a pedagogy, and then saying everybody else is going to support that role. And this mindset shift, if we do, then then you're not thinking, okay, how do I give her more work? You're thinking, how do I enable her to be better in the classroom? And so this is one, of course it's not easy, this is all great theoretically, but we are trying to follow this and trying to change people. And I'm very, very blessed with the kind of people that have joined us, so I'm very thankful about that at Tapas. But these are micro changes that can happen in the kind of system that we are in.
Absolutely right. Stay blessed on that level. It takes you about 3 to 5 years to make people understand. Because how do we move from control to mentoring?
Mm,
My understanding, I've said this before, the school
yes.
on ground should be run by the students, who comes on time, who goes on time, etc. The students be mentored by the teachers. The
Mm,
principal mentors the teachers.
mm,
The principal is mentored by the governing council or the owner group.
correct.
So the compliance factor, the order, I want control,
Mm,
is something we have to go out. And I'm not saying control in that sense. You cannot have everything without some sense of control. But what I'm saying is, can I listen to Preeti because of the sheer talent and respect I have for her, rather than listen to her because she's my boss, or
yeah.
vice versa, or vice
Right.
versa. But we are that compliant society thing comes in. It's
Mm,
easier to do that. And here I go back to Devdutt Patnaik.
mm-hmm,
Now, all management
mm,
has originally been from the army. And if you look at the Abrahamic religions,
mm,
Islam says Friday,
mm.
you have to go.
Yes.
Christianity says Sunday,
Yes.
Judaism Saturday.
Mm,
Our cultures do not have any one day to go.
correct.
So, so the management philosophies, everything is based on a standardized precept, wherein
Mm,
you go on a Friday. So it that religion spirituality has engendered a certain kind of management thinking, where we want
correct.
everything standardized, everything done in one way, because it's
Mm,
easier to implement it. So
absolutely.
inside the classroom, those 40 children inside a school, the variety, now the new challenges, how do we implement it? So what is the balance between what you want as control and what
Mm-hmm,
we want as mentoring for the
mm-hmm,
child to go up? After all, you make him family ready, school ready, from there higher secondary ready, college ready, family ready. So for that, there has to be socio-emotional, cultural understanding. How do we go about it? The older I get, the more confused I am.
not at all. So that I think I'd like to shift gears now and look at what are the skills. And for this, I'd like to begin with showing the video that you had shared with me earlier, so that we talk a little bit about what the future of schooling is going to look like. Please allow
Very
me.
much. Yeah.
COVID-19 pandemic reminds us that the future likes to surprise us. To prepare our education systems for the future, we have to consider not only the changes that appear most probable, but also the ones that we aren't expecting. This means exploring multiple futures. The OECD has imagined 4 different scenarios for the future of our schools. What if young people continue to pursue formal education in greater numbers, in a system with strong schools and classrooms that have been modernized with digital technology, where schools could use fine-grained data systems for better planning and more effective teaching? What if parents and the community around us took center stage in educating citizens, and students and families could choose between a wide range of alternatives from a variety of providers and platforms, public and private, on and offline, in schools and at home, in community centres and the workplace? What if school could become totally different? A school where students took their own initiatives and set their goals together with peers and teachers, where experimentation and collaboration beyond grades and classrooms were the norm, and education took place across a wide network of educational spaces involving the broader community. What if there were no more schools at all, where technology blurred the lines between education, work, and leisure, enabling learning anytime, anywhere, by building on curiosity and needs to connect learners with one another? 4 futures for education, for us. What is the future of schooling?
धन्यवाद. May
Ha.
I have your attention, please? For security reasons, no items or baggage must be left unattended. Passengers are requested to report any suspicious item or behavior to the nearest fleet
Can you hear me?
the government manager, or the security
I can't hear you as of now.
080.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now I can. So can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So I can hear you. I mean, yes, fascinating video.
Yes. It just brings you to question everything about what we know what a school should look like. Your comments,
It
Colonel.
does. Oh, as I told you, confusion levels are higher, Preeti. I believe that future schools, one, first I'll take the Indian context. In the Indian context, schools will become much more important only in terms of physical activity.
Hmm.
2 out of our 5 students, every 10 students, 4 of them are properly obese.
Hmm.
6 out of our 10 children are overweight.
Hmm.
So, with the incredible shoot up in medical expenditure, etc., over a period of time, schools with spaces will be the place where students play. It will
Hmm.
become non negotiable, like
Hmm.
your Aadhaar card. You require to have it. So, that's one part. The second part of it is that today our daughters, our sons, everyone abroad, A, the boys and girls are cooking together. Great news. B, they first look at a YouTube video to make dokla before checking up with their mother or now occasionally their father. So there is another source of information.
Absolutely.
Third part is once that thing is done,
Hmm.
the teacher's role becomes dramatically different.
Mm-hmm.
So my picture of a school in future, maybe 5, 10 years from today, is fair, so that nobody remembers what I said. Firstly, students will come to school in drones. In a
Hmm.
huge ground, they will land up.
Okay.
Or they will come in self-driven cars or
Okay.
vehicles. Once they come there, it will be kind of 3 days compulsory schooling, three
Hmm.
days or the next 2 days will be really focused on optional schooling, the skill sets which you require for the next generation. Because because our children in our schools in Tapas, they will see the 22nd century. None of us will. So, what skill sets would they require? In a world they have to work for 50 years, they will change their jobs at least 8 times. So, for
Hmm.
example, we have a guy who has been supplying drivers to cars.
Okay.
He's running that, he's having cars in that way. Now, after a while, He does not have to supply drivers. It becomes driver free cars.
Yeah.
So this man is a driver. He is an expert supervisor. From that scenario, how does he, after losing his primary job, unlearn, relearn, and come back to a position where he becomes a tech executive, repairing self-driven cars and making sure these self-driven cars have safety and security inbuilt into them and monitors them through a software.
Right.
So now this transformation, how do we do it? With
Hmm.
our schools or without schools?
Hmm.
What kind of integrated do we have a fruit salad kind of a thing where I'll
Hmm.
eat the fruit of my choice? Or
Hmm.
will it be a buffet where I'll eat whatever I want, you pay for all of it?
Hmm.
Or will it be a combination? And my
Hmm.
final take on it is the disinformation story. Truth,
Yes.
lies, and bullshit.
Hmm.
The teacher will no longer be an information gatherer or a distributor. He or she will be a curator who will, based on what student Preeti has learned, become the library, the old library where we verified everything. It
Right.
become the new library where all the information student Preeti has, teacher Preeti analyzes it and brings it to a mature conclusion, transdisciplinary.
Right.
Am I confusing it at best?
No, no.
Yes, this is what I
So
think it
far,
is.
yes. Okay, I'm going to try and attempt unpacking that once again. What you're saying essentially is, and I'm taking off that one statement you made, that the future looks like we will have to probably change 8 professions in the next generation in their lifetime of working. They will have to change 8 professions. And so that means a lot of unlearning and relearning. So that basically means we need to know how to learn and not what to learn. First how to learn and then the what to learn. The second part of it is the teacher's role has changed in the classroom. You're saying that instead of being the one giving the information, we are the ones who are going to be the fact checkers, the ones who are going to say yes, this is making sense, or question, how can you make sense of all these sources of information. So this is what the role that has changed.
Teacher has to be much more well read and understood about what she's going to talk. We
Yes.
cannot have it piecemeal. Subject specific teachers, to my mind, will be at least partially history. With AI
Yes.
coming in and doing that job, ready-made information without analysis, that teacher is definitely history. Please continue.
I think what I want to again, once again, change gears here, and this is a part of the conversation that we had previously, was what do you see are the similarities or the dissimilarities of how the military functions and how, say, a school functions?
Wow. You have brought me to one of my pet peeves. And here the key word is trust.
Okay.
In the Indian Army, it's clear. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Lieutenant Shekar, Captain Shekar, Major Shekar, Colonel Shekar is an officer. He has come through the best recruiting system in the world. We can trust him
Hmm.
unless he proves otherwise. But
Okay.
Colonel Shekar in a civilian space is clearly आने दे इसको मानेगा military rule चलाएगा. Firstly, there is a preset thing. The
Hmm.
army guy means he will smoke a bit, he will
Hmm.
drink horse's rum, and he will eat non-vegetarian and talk big. So Shekhar as an academician is considered an oxymoron. Colonel Shekhar as an academician is considered an oxymoron. That's one part. The myths we have. Second part of it is that by the fact that I'm a colonel, I'm not supposed to be knowledgeable about schools,
Hmm.
despite everything. So the key word in all of this, Preeti, is trust.
Sure.
Do I trust that guy? He has come here. He has got a litany of achievements. He has been there. So the first thing undoubtedly is trust that I
Hmm.
miss. In the army, still I walk into an armed forces establishment. There is this automatic trust of
Hmm.
sir, he will be trusted, and men also. Even now,
Right.
when I go to an army guest room, my wallet is there. We still give the our debit card pins to our men. We seem
Hmm.
comfortable doing that. But if you
Right.
think of doing it in the civilian space, it doesn't work. The second part is what I find it most difficult: the passive resistance.
Hmm.
We are used to, we argue, once a decision is taken, there are no two ways about it. It's a
Right.
classic story of Shekhar does not want to give Preeti a cup of tea. So
Hmm.
somebody comes, chai hai, chai patti nahi hai. I mean, doodh nahi hai. So no milk.
Hmm.
Okay. Make black tea.
Hmm.
No, I'll have to check whether there is chai patti. Then if chai patti is there, if I don't want to eat, I will say there is no water also in the house. The
Yeah.
ability to passively resist, to avoid something which you are not comfortable with. So that I
Hmm.
believe is a problem of the compliance culture we have and
Hmm.
the tick mark culture we have. These are the two significant and at times seminal differences I feel.
Hmm. Okay. So there is so much more that we need to talk about, and we have maybe about 4 minutes left of our session. So for that, I think I want to hear your comments on what parents should be doing and enabling at home. I think we've touched upon schools quite a bit. Last 4 minutes
Right.
dedicated to parents.
Firstly, parenting is a responsibility.
Yes.
Parenting has to be a conscious decision between the couple.
Hmm.
Parenting is joyful, enjoyable, but definitely not a bed of roses. It is a hard way. The success of it you see much later, similar to the way schools are. The student leaves the school, it's years later, the school is remembered as the person, as the organization giving him or her the base. One. Second, create an environment where you trust the school, you work it yourself with the school. The
Hmm.
school has to be trusted, and the parent must ensure that the school trusts the parent.
Right.
Three, spend minimum 15 minutes without any gadgets with your child every day.
Hmm.
Anything you do, I don't care. The biggest challenge I face in all my schools is children saying, in our next janam, we want to be the mobile phones of our mothers and fathers.
Hmm. Very
Technology has come in, we have forgotten. Four, conduct family meetings once a week.
Hmm.
Sit down with your child. Allow the child to express. Allow yourself to be questioned.
Hmm.
Allow yourself to understand the child. Because in your run towards making $2 million and becoming a Mukesh Ambani day after tomorrow morning, you are losing your precious. The summary is socially, emotionally, culturally, commit to parenthood, be with the child. Select a
Absolutely.
school which understands you and the child, and for God's sake, don't run faster than Usain Bolt behind marks. They matter very little. Yes, you require certain degrees in a degree conscious world, but at the end of the day, you have to be a good human being, full stop.
Absolutely. And I think those are fantastic words to live by, not just as a student or a parent, but just as a human living on this planet. So, this has been fantastic, Colonel. And this is so, so wonderful that you Though you are at the airport, you've taken the time and hustled a little bit to make time for us. It has been a pleasure chatting with you. Unfortunately, we are at the end of our time and the next session is about to begin. Anybody who has questions for Colonel Shekar and wants to ask can leave them in the comments, and we will make sure that it reaches him. And any answers that he has, we will make sure that it reaches you. So please do write your comments, write your thoughts and your questions. Colonel Shekar, thank you. Thank you so much once again.
It's been an honor, Preeti, to know you, to be associated with you, to be in this. It's been one of the most enjoyable conversations I have had because I didn't have to show any other face. It's only one face which we have to do. You have thought through the questions. Congratulations to you and the team, and to that wonderful lady who has chased me, the mother of two daughters who has chased me getting it right. God bless you and your team, and best wishes for your next session.
Thank you. Thank you so
Take care.
much, Colonel.
Take care. I leave now.
Yes. Safe flight.
Bye.